Welcome, everyone. Today is going to be our ShareFile admin webinar. Going through the agenda today, there's four main topics we're going to cover. We'll take a look at file management, going through some of the file settings, storage utilization on the account, security configuration. This is going to go through some of the password requirements, setting up two-factor authentication for users, single sign-on if you have some external identity providers to log in. We'll take a look at the super user group, and then we'll go through some alert settings to keep your account safe. Customization, we'll take a look at uh, account branding. So putting custom branding on your login page or your emails that go out through our notification system. We'll take a look at just the account name and then some subdomains, different ways for clients to access your ShareFile account using that subdomain before sharefile.com. And then we'll look at maximizing efficiency, which is folder templates, distribution groups to apply user permissions on a bulk scale. We'll also look at briefly UMT and policy-based administration, the PBA, which is a way that you can synchronize your Active Directory users to provision them directly into ShareFile. We'll talk about API documentation that we have available, and then bulk creation of users and folders alike.
I'm going to start with file management, and we're going to talk about setting defaults for folders and share links, as well as how to manage your users' data. So first off, we're going to go into settings here on the left-hand side, go into admin settings, and then into the security tab. And the first one, oh, sorry, not security tab, advanced preferences. And then the first one we're going to look at is going to be file settings. Now, the first setting you're going to see is the share settings. And these settings are going to set the available options when you're sharing links. We strongly recommend disabling the anyone options. That way you can't have publicly available links available to anyone who has the link. Um, the default settings here can set the default permission that your users see. So for because I have disabled the public options, now you're only seeing the client and employee user setting or the employee setting here. This is the second setting here for default permissions for Outlook. This is if you're using the Outlook plugin and whether or not you want your um, what you want to set your default setting within the Outlook plugin. This last setting, the maximum access expiration period, is going to set what the maximum um, link lifespan is. So you could say, for example, 1 year, 6 months, um, and this is only going to set the maximum, right? So if you go in here, if you wanted to set it to a shorter expiration period, you can always do that as well too. Request settings, basically the same exact same thing. You have the public options, you have the client employee logins, employee login options, as well as the default permissions for the web app or desktop applications, or with the default permission for Outlook. Default retention policy. So this sets the default for how long files are kept inside a folder before they're deleted, and only applies to newly created folders. So any existing folders, you go in here and you change it, that retention policy is not going to change on those existing folders. The sorting here is pretty self-explanatory how folders are sorted. Versioning, this allows you to save multiple copies of an individual file and just shows the number of versions that can be saved within ShareFile. Watermarking is a feature that allows you to watermark documents that are more sensitive. And in here, you can customize it. So right now you have just email of the person sharing the document, or you can do email first name and then, you know, any kind of custom text. So it'd be like something along those lines. Now, the next setting, storage quota, enables you to control how much data is being saved by your users. And right now, I have it set to a soft limit. So what this soft limit will do is if they start getting closer to that 10 gig limit, then it'll notify the user that they're about to go over, but it won't stop them. Um, if you were looking to limit them strictly to 10 gigs, then you want to hit this checkbox right here. So this Microsoft co-editing feature, you can enable it here. If you want to use the co-editing feature with Microsoft Office and Office Online, then you'll want to make sure you have an Office 365 license. And then make sure to hit save here at the bottom as well too. All right, the next setting I want to talk about is the storage usage dashboard. So go into the storage tab here on the left-hand side. And then if you go to storage usage, you'll see a dashboard of all your ShareFile employees and how much data they're consuming. So let's see, you can see that I'm using about 2.5 gigs here. Um, I don't like this test admin who's using 600 kilobytes. So what I can do is I can notify them of their usage by going into this notify option here on the right-hand side. Now, one thing also to note is with advanced premium and industry advantage users, um, you get 1 terabyte of storage per user license that you purchase, and that's going to be a pooled storage. Okay, so now let's get into how to secure your ShareFile account. So on the left-hand side, again, let's go into security. And first one I want to talk about is password requirements. Now, this is the password requirement for ShareFile specific passwords, not single sign-on or any other services that you might be leveraging to log into ShareFile. Next one, login and security policy. The one I will mention first is the two-step verification. This is where you can force two-step verification for your employee users or your client users. If you're using single sign-on, uh, you'll want to set two-factor authentication through your single sign-on. If you have single sign-on enabled and the checkbox enabled here, then this single sign-on two-factor authentication is obviously going to take priority. And this is only going to apply for ShareFile admin users who might need to log into ShareFile with just ShareFile credentials. We also have a new feature here, social sign-in. If you want to enable this, this is primarily for client users, external users that you're sharing documents with. It allows you to use Google credentials in order to log into ShareFile. Microsoft and Apple is coming soon. Auto remediation. So this is a somewhat newer feature within ShareFile and allows you to take action on unusual behaviors within your ShareFile account. And this right here is just the options to disable or enable those settings. Account lockout, the number of login attempts that your users have before they're locked out of ShareFile, and how long they're going to be locked out. Terms and conditions, IP restrictions. If you want to enable these, you will want to contact either ShareFile support or your ShareFile customer success engineer. Now, this last setting here, authentication, the first one is going to be for any web browser sessions. And whenever a user maybe steps away and is inactive, This top setting will log them out after a certain period of time. The second setting is for desktop applications that your users might be logged into and how long those desktop applications will be active and whether they'll be asked to log in again. All right, let's make sure to hit save here. And then at the bottom here are your single sign-on settings. So if you have SSO provider like Okta, uh, Entra, or Ping, something along those lines, you can always configure it through here too. All right, another setting I want to talk about is going to be the edit super user group. So the super user group in ShareFile is a group of users that have access to all files and folders on the account. It's not the same as a ShareFile admin. ShareFile admin controls how the account is configured. Super user group can only see the the files and folders inside of ShareFile. And then last one I want to talk about is security alert settings. So ShareFile will notify users based on unusual behaviors. And you can customize this to either just notify the admins, employees, or clients. And then at the bottom, you can also add additional users to just be notified as well too. And then you want to hit save there again.
One thing to add there too is not only users, but you can set up a distribution group. So I'll go into that a little bit more here soon, but distribution groups is essentially like a group of users that you can just apply to the alternate context for security alerts. So if you do have a bunch of users, maybe it's a whole team of IT administrators or something, you can do users or those distribution groups here. But great.
Right. Thanks. Thanks, Greg. All right. I'm going to pass it on to you now.
What I'm going to go through here is some customization, and then we'll go through some of the tools for maximizing efficiency within ShareFile, so getting things done quickly. First up, customization. So we're going to take a look at your admin dashboard. So when you are an admin, and specifically I'm a account owner, um, the settings gear on the left, admin settings, will bring you straight to the admin overview. And what this is going to give you is going to give you your account ID, your account name. It's going to tell you what type of plan you're on. So in this instance, I'm on the ShareFile Industry Advantage plan. And then it gives you a brief snapshot of my current storage and how many user licenses I have filled. Um, the account owner, I am listed as the account owner. And I do have the option if, let's say, I'm leaving this organization, I want to reassign the account ownership to somebody. I do have that option to do that here. And it must be a employee user that is currently on the account, and that will migrate all those permissions and account ownership over to that user. Customizing the account, we'll take a look at that. So this is going to go through some of the branding options to really make your account feel like your own. And if you have external users connecting in, they know that they've landed in the right spot. So that's going to be under company account information. And take a look at edit company branding. Um, so the account name, this is going to be listed here. This is not going to be what they use to access the account. So you can see up here, my subdomain is Greg H. This is just simply the account name that's listed. And that can be changed up to 160 characters. Edit account appearance here. What we'll do is we'll actually drop this down and we'll click the advanced appearance options. This is going to give us a detailed list of everything we have to customize. So from the browser options here, so this is going to be the page title up in the tab section of the browser. You can do a favorite icon to be shown there. Header options, this is going to be that top portion of your ShareFile account. And this does take hex color, so you can really customize it exactly to your organization's color schemes. You can set a background image. Um, I have just a color here as gray, but just one note here is if you ever have questions about kind of the size or details about what you're entering here, these little tooltip icons will give you information like, for instance, the logo image must not be taller than 80 by 400 pixels. So keep an eye out on those if you have questions about it. Text color, pretty self-explanatory, just the text at the header. Page options here, this is going to be the accent color. So you can see this little gray bar at the top here. That's going to be that color there. Your login page, this is going to be your primary login page. So if I bring up a incognito window here and I go to my account, I've done a little bit of customization to my login page. We've got my picture I've uploaded here. I have my logo up here. So this gives you the ability to customize that login experience for not only your internal users, but your external users as well. Email options, this is going to customize the header and footer and the logo attached to those emails that go out. So if you are sending a document for e-signature, there's going to be that branding there. So let me actually I don't have my image there, but if you were to add this, I'll show you where it would appear. So this is going to be what a normal notification looks like. So if you wanted to do some custom branding there, when these notifications go out by our system, it'll have custom headers, footers, and then any branding images that you want to attach there. All right, so that's customizing kind of the look and feel. You do have at the bottom of the edit company branding screen here, you have the ability to edit your subdomains. So Greg H is my primary subdomain. You can have up to 3. So if you wanted to maybe shorten the URL for your external users and have your full company name for your internal employees to access, they're all going to be going to the same place. It's just a different way for them to get to it there. And this will check to make sure that it hasn't been used before. Obviously, you can't have 2 accounts going to the same URL, but this will be where you modify those changes and then you'd save. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to go through is we'll go through some templates. So we do have a new templates section. If you haven't been in here before, this is going to be where you'll access all of your account-wide templates and those templates that have been shared with you. So now when you come in, you can actually build a document template that you want to be able to send for a signature. We also, if you're a premium or higher user, you have access to projects, and you can also build project templates, and all those templates are going to be stored here. We also have solution templates as well, but let me walk through real quick just creating a template and then accessing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select a document here. See where I had one. Sorry, I thought I had one in here. Let me drag and drop. So this will show another feature here. If I don't know where I located that file, I can actually just drag and drop it directly into the UI here, and it's going to upload that document directly in. And this is just a basic tax document. You can give it signer roles, you can add variables. We're going to go ahead to the next step to actually add a role. We'll just name this signer. And we'll put a basic signature in here at the bottom, give it a date. The next step. So now that we've actually saved that template, now we can use it at a later time. And this can be done really, with all of your custom, documents that your organization has with all your branding. You can come in here and easily access those documents to send out for signature, or if you have a project that you've built out with, the information requests or document requests that you need, you can go and build those out and then reuse them at a later time. So the next thing too, along the lines of email notifications, we do have custom SMTP options. So if you didn't want to use the ShareFile notification system where the emails come in from the no reply at ShareFile notifications, if you wanted to use your own organization's email server, your own domain, you can configure that within the admin settings here. We'll go into advanced preferences and we'll go to email settings here. Configure SMTP settings will allow you to add the server you're accessing and then the user you're logging in with. All right. Next thing I wanted to talk about here is going to be things to kind of improve your efficiency um, and get things done a little bit quicker. First thing we're going to talk about is folder templates. So folder templates, if you're under the admin tools, advanced preferences, folder templates is going to be listed here. And so folder templates is essentially what it sounds like. It's a template where you can build a folder structure to reuse in multiple locations within the account. And when you create a folder template, you can go back and make modifications to that structure, and those changes are reflected throughout the account where that template is linked. So for instance, I do have a webinar um, demo folder template here, and I have a nested folder. I've got a top level folder here, a couple folders there. So the way that you can link this, so if I go back into my folders section of ShareFile, go into our shared folders. Let's say I create a new folder here, and we'll say admin webinar. So at the folder creation, we do have the ability to link a template. So I'll go ahead and select that here. And that webinar demo template we were looking at before, I selected that. I'll make sure this is just our cloud storage zone. Great folder. So now you can see that template that we looked at before. There's our folders, and then there should be a nested folder underneath that. If you go to advanced folder settings here, you can see that. So let's back up because we are in a nested folder here. Let's go one up. You can see that this folder is currently associated with the template webinar demo. And then we can remove that template association if we want to unlink it. And what that will essentially do is it won't delete any files. It just kind of, it breaks the link so that if you make changes to the template, it's not going to be reflected anymore in this folder. So like I said, it doesn't delete anything. You can come in here and you can make changes to these folders. You can add more, delete, but you will no longer be linked to that template. Alternatively, just wanted to mention, so we do have Windows, a ShareFile for Windows application. So, there is the template you can create, but you can also simply, if you have a folder structure you want to bring into ShareFile, um, you can simply drag and drop into the UI, or you can also drag and drop into the ShareFile for Windows application. So this is my my file explorer in Windows. If I go into shared folders and I went into my webinar folder, I can simply come in here and I can copy things over from my local machine into here, and it will actually build those out in ShareFile and upload those files that you post. Distribution groups. So the next thing we'll talk about here is distribution groups. I briefly mentioned this before, but distribution groups are essentially a list of users that you can utilize for um, policies, for setting up the alerts, and also for just general permissions. Um, so I have some groups already built out here. So I've got a limited access ShareFile users. Some of these are used for my user management tool, but just in general, it is a way for you to add permissions or add things in bulk if you don't want to add those users individually. Another thing that it's helpful with is if you quickly want to get somebody onboarded, and let's say you have a department distribution group, let's say HR, and you have a new HR member, simply adding them to this group will give them all the access that has been set up for that HR distribution group already. And the way that you can add distribution groups, just like users, is when you're in a folder. You can be in the People tab here. When you go to Add People to Folder, the distribution groups will show up as users, and then you can give that distribution group a set of permissions the same way users can. We'll take a look at the bulk creation of folders and users. So managing your users, a lot of you may already have created some users in your account. But when you create an employee here, when you're going through this process, you can add multiple users. You can add as many as you like here. And you can also do bulk adds by a Excel file. So at the top here, need to import multiple users with Excel. If you click this, there's going to be a spreadsheet that will download. And what it entails is some basic information, the required information for setting up users if you had a long list. You can see here it's going to ask for email address, first name, last name, company. And you can fill this out with as many users as you'd like, and it's going to provision those users in your ShareFile account. And then bulk creation of folders and linking them to users. We do have a way to generate client users, so those external users that are connecting into your ShareFile account. If you want to set up multiple client users and have them map to their own client folder, we do have that ability through our technical support. You would contact them and they can help you kind of create those users and match them up with their corresponding folders. The other way you can give access quickly, so during the account creation, the step 3 here, you're going to be able to assign them quickly to a distribution group, assign folders, but you can also copy folder access from an existing user. So if this is somebody who's coming in to replace another person, or maybe they're just on the same team and they just need the same rights, you can do that here. Maybe if the distribution groups haven't been set up, you can just copy straight from an existing user. And then kind of going into what I mentioned earlier, we do have a couple tools for managing and creating users in bulk. We do have the user management tool. We kind of have two flavors of it. We have user management tool. We also have the user management tool for policy-based administration. So if you want to have policies enabled, this would be something that reaching out to your CSE or reaching out to technical support, we can turn it on. But essentially it takes the user creation a little step further and allows you to build policies for permissions or access or even storage location for groups of users. So if you have a lot of users you're working with and a lot of users you manage, maybe you have some people that need administrative access and you don't want to do that manually, the policy-based administration for user management tool would probably be the better option, just because you can synchronize users from your Active Directory by security group, and you can provide them with specific policies that you build out for file and folder management or access permissions. And just how it looks here, I have my home lab set up. This is a Windows server that I have some users created within Active Directory. And essentially the user management tool allows you to search for users or groups, and then allows you to create a rule that sets these policies. It'll bring in the policies for each, the storage, file, and user access, and you can simply build out those groups based on what policy they need. And the nice thing about this tool is that you can schedule the synchronization. So if you do disable somebody, they leave the organization, you disable their Active Directory account. The next time that the user management tool runs and synchronizes those users, it will disable a user in ShareFile if they're disabled in AD. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is some of our API documentation. So ShareFile does have an API that you can set up for your account. If you have custom applications that you want to interact with ShareFile, api.sharefile.com is going to be the place to access all of the documentation surrounding all the things that you can do with it. You can log in with your ShareFile account. If you wanted to run some test queries, it'll give you the JSON back. For instance, here I just did a quick send request to do a get on a particular user. It'll give you the information that it provides you back in JSON. We do have documentation on our support.sharefile.com page. We also have a community. So if I click into community, there will be a section for API developers. If you have a couple questions, I know some of us will monitor this. Also, some of the engineers here at ShareFile will answer questions here. Great place to get information. We also have the PowerShell SDK packages that are linked on the API page. This will bring you to the GitHub page to download those packages and give you sample scripts for managing your account via PowerShell. A lot of great information here as well. And the last thing I wanted to let you guys know of is, so continuing on the support.sharefile.com page, we do have a status page. This will give you information pertaining to the platform. If there are any current outages, you can subscribe to that page to get immediate notifications. The community page I mentioned there, we do have a section for ShareFile. We also have a section for Podio, and then the API as well. Technical support is going to be accessed here through the chat with us link at the bottom right. That's the fastest way to get technical support and get a ticket open.
Another resource we have is if you're inside your ShareFile account, in the bottom right, you should see this little ShareFile icon. And in here, you should have all these different helpful links. And then you will also see contact your success engineer. So in this one, we got Ricardo. So if you wanted to reach out to Ricardo, you can just hit that button and you can find your CSE.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you got something out of it.
Have a good day.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you everyone.